everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today I have a guest on, Keren Eldad, who is also known as Coach Keren, to everyone from Olympic athletes, Hollywood stars, supermodels, to Fortune 500 executives, even special forces operatives. And Keren helps those who make excellence look effortless reclaim their joy and sanity. Through her work with global powerhouses like Nike, Estee Lauder, and JP Morgan, as well as leaders who shape industries and inspire movements, Keren has seen it all: burnout, disillusionment, and the cost of a life defined solely by outward success. I cannot wait to dive into this conversation. Keren has an upcoming book called GILDED: Breaking Free from the Cage of Ambition, Perfectionism, and the Relentless Pursuit of More. Keren, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, it's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me. A real
Oh,
pleasure, Stephanie.
my pleasure. I am just dying to talk to you because, I was in the corporate world for 12 years and I was probably the poster child
Yeah,
for, I'm going to do it all and be successful. And that success, kind of defined my identity, my self-worth, the success tied to my
sure.
career. And it led to burnout.
Yeah,
Like, usually you hear this left and right, how people are facing burnout. Mine manifested in the form of panic attacks.
mm,
And, it's like I had every sign and indication, but I was so focused on everything externally. Like I said, that was where I got my identity, my validation. Like everything came from this career that I just stuck with it.
yeah.
So I think we're seeing this, cycle of burnout, and I know you do a lot of work with that. How do we start with breaking free from that and shifting to something more fulfilling?
Well, this is going to be so good. This is going to be such a great episode for so many people because what we're really talking about is what is essentially manifestation gone bad. Technically, you and I too, I had the exact same experience. We got what we wanted. We did manifest the corporate job. In my case, a C-suite job, the glamorous linear trajectory for life. By the way, that ego dies real hard. So we probably still have accoutrements of that today that we fought very hard to achieve, then became addicted to the achievement, then started to wear ourselves down as a result of the patterns with which we were achieving. Here's now a swap of the language. When we became addicted to the manifestation, we got disconnected from the art of manifesting.
Mm,
We're much more obsessed with creation than with creating. Creating is based on the energy that creates worlds, the energy of love, the energy of pointing at things and getting them. Very different from, I got this, I'm going to keep it at all costs, which is essentially not only, by the way, going to block your manifestation, it's going to absolutely collapse your system, whether it happens in your 30s or your 40s or your 50s. And that's why I came up with the analogy of the gilded cage and the title Gilded for my book. I work with a lot of people for whom the cage looks real nice. It looks like they've manifested a whole bunch of stuff, but it doesn't feel good to you. That is not a manifestation. That is an acquisition or a conquest. It is temporary at best. And what we really want you to become is a creator, a person who points at things and gets them, which is real different, right?
oh, yeah, it's completely different. And, it's funny because I took that road in the corporate world and then I escaped it, right? Like I left my job and I'm getting into what I love and my purpose and everything else, but got caught up in that again without even realizing it, because it's like I'm looking at all these people around me that are doing similar things and thinking I have to achieve the next level
Yeah.
income. And you hear people just constantly upping it. And it kind of came to a head last year where I stopped doing all the things that I felt like I should be doing.
Yeah.
And like you said, just got back into that process of creating, just being, just living in the moment. Because I was asking myself, okay, if I increase my income again, what is that actually costing me? Is
Yeah.
it costing me time with my kids when they're little? Is it costing me my
Yeah.
stress? All those kinds of things came to a head. And I was like, well, here I am again. I got myself back into that same high
Yeah.
achiever,
Exactly.
standard.
And the tells are the two things that you've so brilliantly described for the audience. So if they're not manifesting what they want, if they're making more money, but it's actually costing them, more money is not supposed to do that, just so you know. It's supposed to give you more ease and more pleasure and more fun. It's never supposed to come at a cost. That is a misunderstanding of abundance and of money in particular. That means that two things have gone wrong. The first is you're using force to acquire. You're using a lot of energy, work in order to increase that income. The universe does not respond to that. And that also means that the second thing that's fueling you is competition, watching what everybody else is doing, needing to get things done, also known as scarcity. If you pick up the stick from the side of scarcity instead of the assumption of abundance, what you will end up with is less time with your babies when they're small. If you pick up the stick from the side of abundance, you will very likely create not only more money, but also more time. So my hope is that people start to understand, at very least, that if they're not seeing manifestations that are ringing their bells, then the glitch is in the use of force. They're working way too hard. And the reason they're working way too hard is because they don't believe. They are so bogged down by doubt, by competition, by illusions that are making them basically veer off the path of their own manifestation. Is that helpful?
No, it's very helpful. And I'm just thinking for the listeners out there that are still in, the corporate environment, let's say, and that
Mm.
so they hear you and they're like, okay, I don't want to force it. How do they go through their day to day and their job and everything else without that force when it's kind of put on them by some of like the leadership? Like, is there a way to sort of navigate that and find balance, show up more authentically
Yeah.
in this pursuit of still being successful in your career, but not in this forceful way that leads to burnout?
The main thing to flip in order to go from a scarcity mindset, this is happening to me and it is an imposition, to ease and abundance, is to flip that question into this is happening for me. In other words, how is this working for me? How are these exciting demands of my leaders playing right into my hand? What parts of this can I use for my own glory? What parts of this are very useful to me? For example, many people in corporate life like a steady paycheck. They like steady health insurance. So take those parts and really accelerate them, appreciate them, make them bigger. And that will allow you to flow much more easily with what you have, which will also start to create space for anything additional, any other moves that you'd like to make, if you'd like to make them. But really, we always have to start with the premise. The premise is either this is happening to me and it sucks, or this is happening for me and I have options. This is happening for me is freedom. It will always create more freedom. This is happening to me and I must overcome is a cage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's funny because every January I go through the book The Magic by Rhonda Byrne, which is like that
Mm,
28-day gratitude challenge. And that one of the days in there talks about, let's say you're in a job that's really miserable or you don't like it. How do you still show up and be grateful? And there's so many ways to show up and be
so many.
grateful.
Yes.
You can
Say to
always find the
people,
good.
I always say to people, do you prefer to have the paycheck or not to have the paycheck? And they usually say it would be easier to have the paycheck.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. And if that's all there is, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing, though, how finding that one thing and flipping the script can change your outlook on
Yeah.
anything. And like that was one of the things that I did. And it's not like it all of a sudden made my job just so easy,
Yeah.
but all these other, I don't want to say opportunities, it was more like downloads and inspiration for ways to leave the corporate world started flowing.
Correct.
And
Correct. Yes,
yeah,
that's so important what you're saying. That's why I'm so aggressively interjecting. When we start to think it's happening for me, you create space because the anxiety is leaving your body, right? The anxious thinking is leaving your
Mhm.
body. It creates space to download the ideas that will break you free. That's when you
Yes.
can actually hear them. Until then, the anxiety tracks are just running the show, right? And you can't hear anything.
Are there any certain practices or things that you recommend for your clients that are having trouble with that to create more space and
Yeah.
to slow down and give themselves um, the the moment to release that control and that force and get into more of a state of being?
Yes, absolutely. And they're the ones that broke me free. I'm going to go from simplest to do to hardest to do.
Okay.
Simplest to do. You have to learn how to spiral up. Here's what that means. When you start to find yourself in the clutches of anxiety thinking, of negative thinking, of repelling thoughts that repel your manifestations, like the other shoe's going to drop. The next paycheck is the last paycheck. I'm going to run out of money. I can't believe I'm going to run out of money again. How could I ever do this to myself? Basically, see that these thoughts carry momentum and they get worse and worse and worse. That's called a downward spiral. In the early stage of the downward spiral, you've got to learn how to swing it up and go general. Go general, and this is a term that's borrowed from the one, the only Esther Hicks, also known as Abraham, is instead of going specific, I haven't made money in a week, I need money in 3 days, I only have $37. All of those are specifics. They have numbers, they become more urgent, they become more freaky. You have to go general. Well, I'm okay right now. I've made money in the past. I'll probably make money again. I have some good seeds planted. I will likely see some traction. There is still time. It's okay. Literally, the way you would speak to a child. That's called spiraling up. You will usually get to a place that is calm-er, and from a place that is calm-er, you can download thought. Well, you can't do this when your thoughts are spiraling out of control, when you're in a full-fledged anxiety attack. Yes?
Absolutely.
Second thing to do, Karen's favorite. Watch something that pleases you on TV and arrests your thought until you relax. For me, it is and will always be Seinfeld or Frasier because I'm old.
I think I've
But
seen
they're
every Seinfeld episode.
every Seinfeld episode. It's comfort food, right? It's just comfort
Yeah.
food. It can run in the background. I'm usually not even paying attention, but it will get me to a place. By the way, also How I Met Your Mother. It'll just get me to a state where after like 3 episodes, I am zoned out. Zoned out is very useful. It's distraction. Yes, it's temporary. Yes, but it allows you to zone up for just long enough for your body to feel safe again, relax again, and then download. And then here's the heaviest and the hardest of them all. Are you ready?
Yep.
Meditate. Meditation is very hard for people. Very hard to silence the brain. My God, it's like asking them, would you give me all your teeth? But if instead of that, you could at the very least follow a guided loving kindness meditation. One of the many meditations Abraham Hicks has on YouTube for free. I have several meditations that I give my clients. I don't think I have the world's most soothing voice, but if they can just follow my words for long enough, it's going to start to sort of lull them into quiet. And that's
Mhm.
all you want. You just want your chatter to stop for long enough for you to absorb positive chatter, and that will allow you again the space to start downloading good, positive things instead of the garbage your brain is usually telling you.
Oh, yeah. I feel like we beat ourselves up usually,
Yeah.
and it's hard to stop that until you recognize it and realize it. And like you're saying, do the upward spiral. I like how you say talk to yourself like a child because really, I mean, you're, when have we done that as an
We're
adult?
terrible. No, we're terrible to
No?
ourselves. We say terrible things. I see people literally look at themselves in the mirror and cringe. It's mean
Hmm.
and it's awful. I also think a lot of us, unfortunately, because of the algorithms, are susceptible and are being bombarded by an enormous amount of negative information all the time. The news and the sampling of the news is designed to make us very angry. In the last election, made a conscious decision because I care so much about my manifestation game,
Hmm.
Stephanie, that I will literally watch that which pleases me, even if it's stupid, like shopping videos, women trying on outfits. The dumbest thing you can do with your time, if you ask me. But it never makes me angry. It
You know
never
what?
makes
I'm
me
so
upset.
glad that you're saying this though, because for me, there's so many times where I won't allow myself, like I'll beat myself up, like I should be doing
Oh,
something
yeah.
productive. Like this is a waste of time. I shouldn't be watching a Netflix show, but I should because that's
I'm
the
here to
very thing I
tell you,
need.
ladies and gentlemen who are listening, Listen to this. I'm telling you, you should do this. You should fill your mind with bunnies and rainbows. And if somebody says to you, don't you think you should be more apprised of the misery in the world? You should say, no, thank you very much. Keep it to yourself. I grew up in Israel. Everybody I know is a news junkie in my family. They're always arresting my attention with some horrible thing that has happened. And I honestly want to tell you, it's okay for me to be informed. I do not need to get into it. I just don't. I feel much better when I'm happy, when I'm positive, and when I still expect good things to happen from this world. And unfortunately, manifestation doesn't work any other way. You cannot have a positive manifestation with a negative journey. It is law. So everybody out there should literally do anything they can do. And this is one of the most aggressive things for overachievers who believes they need to suffer and struggle and work hard to get what they want. Everything you need to do to feel good. Anything and everything. Let me talk to you about my amazing turnaround. It's like a really good story.
Mhm.
So I had, like everybody else, like severe hangups around money and severe hangups around love, et cetera, et cetera. And I realized that one of the first things I could do to become very wealthy was get the more expensive apartment on the Upper East Side that I really wanted, which at the time was a lot of money for me, of $4,400 a month. It was a very expensive rent, but it was exactly the right address in exactly the right building. It was a tiny little apartment, but it had a fireplace and high ceilings and chrome and beautiful chandeliers. I mean, it was magnificent, right? Like a little jewel box. I went for it. Every week, Stephanie, I would buy myself $7 flowers. A $7 bouquet of flowers was a lot for me, but I did that to show myself I was worth it. I surrounded myself with as much beauty as I could. I think a lot of people thought, well, that's stupid. Like, why are you doing this? It's frivolous. It's not helping. It was. It was keeping me delighted. It was keeping me inspired. It was keeping me connected to feeling the way I wanted to feel when money was no longer an issue. And guess what? We good now.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. See, this is so motivating for me because I feel like we are bombarded with speakers that will talk about, don't go get the Starbucks or don't go like spend money on the. But it's like if that is giving me that moment of joy,
Yeah.
then why, again, why are we beating ourselves up about it?
Yeah.
So I love that. $7 flowers. Like what an easy way to brighten
Cheer
your
yourself
day.
up to brighten your
Yeah.
house. Listen, Susie Orman is evil and nobody should listen to her, period. Because she's always trying to take away our lattes. I
Yeah.
want to think that most people need to understand that abundance means abundance. That means that if you really want more abundance, it's not about spending less, it's about making more. And
Hmm.
making more means tuning your tuner to receiving more. And there is no way you're going to be able to do that without expanding your capacity. The next main thing that I doubled down on was coaching. Coaching was an obscenity for me at the time, so expensive. Even like a Tony Robbins seminar was like $8,000. And at the time, since I had 37 bucks, you can see the delta, right, Stephanie? But
Yeah.
I knew that if I held myself accountable to paying this sum, I would also hold myself accountable to rising to this level. And I was right. Betting on myself that way and honoring that investment by going all the way and doing everything that I was suggested to do and literally watching everybody around me and what decisions they were making decisions that were counterintuitive to myself, started to really rewire me from the person who was rejecting manifestation
Hmm.
and kind of projecting kind of desperate energy, I think, to a person who's like really chill and ready to receive.
I think it's one of the best ways to expand
Yeah.
rapidly. I mean, you put yourself in a room with people who are at the next level or that they have that mindset. I don't think there's any better way to bring yourself up to that level quickly than doing that. It's the best investment you can make.
I couldn't agree more. And I always say this to people like, I mean, I know from my clients that they 10x or 15x their investment within 1 year, usually within coaching and like in the club or my retreats. But that's just data. What really is so much more powerful is just experiencing it, understanding what it's like to plug yourself into an environment and realizing for the first time, I belong with these superstars. I'm here for a reason. I mean, when I did that for myself, it changed everything. It really did. I'd never
Well,
given myself anything of that caliber before.
right. And I think, it does shift you into that receiving mode because
Yeah.
you're kind of signaling, number one, you're ready for it, but number two, you deserve it because you've just
Yes.
invested, money, you believe in yourself. And it's kind of like I don't know, fine tuning your antenna to the universe because you're instead of doing all this hard work and forcing it, you're putting yourself in a room with people who have achieved it. And you're always going to learn something. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I forget who said that. Maybe it was Tony Robbins,
I
but
don't
that
know
always
who.
stuck with me.
Yeah, and I think the saying is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you should leave that room.
Yeah.
I completely agree. You were just reminding me of something really amazing. So I want to talk to people about like, so really they understand manifestation and how really being ready to receive, being fully ready to step into it works. The first time I invested in coaching, I spent $8,000 on a Tony Robbins seminar, $10,000 on coaching, which thank God I did because she doesn't coach privately anymore, and $8,000 on making my videos for my program and my first coaching program and all the accoutrements around that.
Mhm.
Money, I don't have. Max out credit card. Okay. I sold out every spot, 6 spots that I had in coaching in one day when I was
Wow.
ready to launch. So I made all that money back like this.
So
And
how
I
did you
remember,
how did you get into the belief that this is going to happen instead of freaking out
yeah.
that you just spent all this money that you didn't have?
Well, I was still freaking out at the time. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, this is one hell of a gamble. But there was
Yes.
something inside me that just knew I was deserving of this. I deserve more. I have done this before. I can do it again. If it doesn't work out, I will still find a way to cover this. I believed with all my heart that this woman that I hired was the one to get me to the next level, which I know is the feeling so many of my clients get when they meet me and they're like, this person knows what they're talking about. Let's go to the next level. And I did it. Now, let me talk to you. Fast forward 6 years. I'm in my business for quite some time and I hire a coach. Are you sitting down for $100,000, which I
Wow.
think is a matzo ball of an investment for anybody out there? I don't cost anywhere near that. I think it's an obscenity. Um, and I always will. Sorry. What really is amazing about that is once I made the decision to receive at that level, that I was really ready to invest in turning my business into a multi-million dollar operation, that I was going to honor this investment. I was going to 10x this investment. That month, I put together a proposal for VIP days and I sold four of them totaling $100,000. So made back the investment like this and kept moving through the program. This is a really important testament, not to that coaching, but to the mindset that is literally like, I'm going to make this back and I'm going to make this back. This is going to work for me. I'm ready to play at this level. We don't have to start that way. I saw one of your favorite manifestation exercises that you shared on your amazing Instagram is $1,000 cash today,
Mhm.
$10,000 cash today. This really depends on your appetite, the size of your stomach, really,
Yeah.
right? If you're already used to receiving $10,000, this is not going to be a big deal for you. It is going to appear
Yeah.
if $10,000 have appeared out of nowhere.
Right.
If not, go with 1,000. Don't worry. Start there. Start there. Start seeing that thousands of dollars appear out of nowhere and watch what happens. And this is really a belief game. I know that this probably sounds so woo woo to people who've never experienced this, but what's really happening is they're not really giving into the belief. And by that time, what I'm trying to say is, by the time I made that investment in my first coach, I believed, man. I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I
Yeah.
believed.
Yeah. I mean, you really have to, but I think for me, especially with money, because that's one of the biggest limiting beliefs that I've dealt with my entire life is
Yeah.
spending money. I've always, I was taught to save it and then I would kind of hoard it. And what really helped me flip that is just instead of saying I can't afford it, I would just ask, how can I afford this?
Yes.
And asking that question, it's like you put the question out there and the answer will appear one way or another. So, like you were saying with the VIP packages that you came up with, it's like, there's a million opportunities out there to
Yeah.
make the money back. It's just getting out of that mode of like, I can't
Yeah.
versus like, I will, show me how, you know?
That's one of the things that frustrates me the most and makes me a little kind of resentful of former clients in particular because they've already done the work, you know?
Hmm.
When I hear I can't afford this, I can't afford this right now, I can't make the numbers work right now, that at an advanced level just doesn't make any sense anymore because you are supposed to automatically know to flip the question.
Hmm.
Instead of thinking I can't make this investment because, and your brain will immediately rationalize it. That's what
Right.
the brain's designed to do.
Yeah.
Really starting to ask, how can I figure this out? If other people are figuring this out, how can I figure this out? And also, what's the payoff? What's the potential
Hmm.
payoff? When I start understanding that me spending $100,000 can make me $1 million
Hmm.
instead of not spending $100,000 and not making $1 million, making maybe $100,000 extra this year, believe me, I'm going to choose the much bigger option.
Well, that's the thing. People don't look at what they're leaving on the table by not
Yeah.
doing it. You know, we're so trained to like, you just look at how much it's going to cost. But yeah, what's the flip side of that? What are you giving up by walking away from this?
Exactly.
And
Loss aversion and loss aversion
mhm,
is scarcity. Loss aversion is scarcity. That scarcity mindset will never manifest very much for you. It's like I really want a lover who's amazing and fun and I'm obsessed with him, but I don't want to leave this marriage because, you know, it's here, right? Like we're already watching Seinfeld every night. We're fine. No. It's
yeah,
not good enough for you. You should adore the person by your side. And if you understood the size of the blessing that comes with adoring the person by your side, you would run, not walk.
yeah. No, absolutely. We settle. A lot of people
Yeah.
settle. I know I settle. Everybody settles, but sometimes you need someone to just kind of pose that question and you kind of realize,
Yeah.
you know, where you're settling and no, you should deserve more and
Yeah.
to feel happy and joyful in everything that you're doing. And I
Yeah.
think that's the thing too, like when it comes to our careers, whether we're in the corporate world or an entrepreneur, you know, we have this idea of success, but we don't often look at like the happiness and the fulfillment. And so the two might not be
Yes,
linked, you know?
exactly. And that's because of most people have the same glitch you had and the same glitch I had, which is hoard money, play it safe,
Hmm.
hoard money, play it safe, save money, don't spend. And that's essentially a very big fixation on safety, on covering your bases, instead of a real fanaticism for fun and enjoyment. Our brain is wired to protect that tendency, unfortunately. Your brain has not evolved over many years to make you happy. Your brain has evolved to keep you alive. And if the brain is fixated on keeping you alive, it's always going to go for the cover your butt option rather than go for glory option, right? That's where coaching work comes in. That's where mindset work comes in. That's where law of attraction work comes in. We really want to start aiming at pleasure. We want to start aiming at fun. We want to start aiming at ease. We want to start aiming at fulfillment because life should feel good to you. Because without life feeling good to you, I don't really understand what it's worth.
Hmm.
We
Yeah.
did not come here to have a tough time. Don't worry, life is hard. It'll be tough whether you like it or not. But we didn't come here for the tough time. We came here to expand and to experience, to have a great time, to be exactly what we were meant to be. And we're never going to break free from that as long as we're playing defense.
Yeah. And we're not supposed to save that for the last few years
No,
of life at retirement, which is kind of what I think we're conditioned to believe. Like, well, I'll have fun then. I'm going to work hard now. No, 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 no. And if you have fun now, you're aligning with everything you think you need. Like, it's just, it's so backwards the way that we're conditioned.
it's terrible. You're
Yeah.
reminding me of my beloved Aunt Mercedes died a couple of years ago at the age of 80 something. And she bequeathed to me, I haven't collected it yet as I haven't visited Israel yet. Um, she bequeathed to me her fine china. And her daughter said, you know, she never used it. She was always saving it for a special occasion. And she gave it to me because she knew that I would use it all the freaking time.
Yeah.
And I just thought
Oh.
that that makes me really sad that she didn't use it, but how delighted I am that I have developed the opposite tendency. And I no longer, I used to be like that kind of person. You know what I mean? Don't burn
Hmm.
the candle. It's a good candle.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a great candle. We are burning it first now.
Oh, that's so funny. I had a book club a few years back, and someone had gifted me this obscenely expensive candle.
Dear
And
Trudeau.
yeah, I'm like talking about it, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then I'm like, I don't want to burn it, and they're like, burn the candle. Light right now, light it. So
Right
I
now.
lit the
Yes.
candle and I was like, yes, I needed someone to tell me that
Yes.
because I would have just had it sitting there and never burning it.
I have a very beloved friend, Jeremy, who has Cire They're literally like they start at $120, the
Mhm.
tiny ones, all over his house, burning constantly. And he has cats. I mean, that abandon, at first I was like, who does he think he is? And now I think, how fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, burn the candles. Yes. And
Mhm.
by the way, as a result of that, Stephanie, you're going to love this. People keep buying him those candles because they know he loves them and he's going to use them. So he's literally manifesting them for free.
He has an abundance of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's really interesting because it's quite literally backwards of what we're kind of taught. But when you realize that, it's like, oh, this is way more fun. I want to go watch my Netflix show that I like. I want to, you know, sit down and give myself a minute. And the other thing too that I forgot to tell you when you were talking about that, when was the last time I read a book just for fun?
Oh,
It's like I'm always looking for a book like, okay, how am I going to grow from this or learn something? But sometimes why
yeah.
not just get back to, I used to love reading like fiction books or whatever.
Oh my
Haven't
God,
done
yes.
that in
I'm obsessed
forever.
with Emily Giffin, and I literally just picked up two of her books yesterday. I do want to say that Gilded is going to be lots of fun. So I hope you read this and let me know when I can send it to you. But here is the secret. Now you're stumbling on one of the secret formulas that we can give to everybody so that they can manifest what they want. You're going to love this because you're also a Seinfeld fan. Do you remember the episode, Stephanie, where George Costanza realizes that every decision he's ever made has been wrong? And then he
Mm.
decides if every decision he's made has been wrong, the opposite must be right. So he starts doing the opposite. He literally starts negating his impulses. He tells the truth to a girl he's hitting on, and he goes for it with her. He makes a play for the New York Yankees, and he gets everything he wants. That is what I'm trying to teach everyone, which is I know it's scary at first to embrace this woo woo craziness that we're into, the law of attraction, but it is law. You don't get in life what you deserve. You get what you believe you deserve. And once you really start to understand that to believe that you deserve something means you back it up with action, the universe will respond in kind.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be a fun book to read. When does it come out? Where can everyone get
It
it?
came out yesterday.
Oh,
We launched
congratulations. So exciting.
yesterday. The
Oh my
happiest day of
gosh.
my life.
Okay.
Yes.
So is it in all the places? Where
Yeah,
should people
Gilded is in
go?
all the places. I just want to say if anybody's listening on the week of January 22nd, Amazon says it's delivering in March. It's a glitch. It's definitely going to deliver right away. The Audible will be available in March, but Gilded is already available wherever books are sold. And look
Oh,
how
so
pretty.
exciting.
Isn't
It's
it so pretty?
beautiful. I love a gorgeous book like that because then I feel like
Me
I'm
too.
I'm going to enjoy it on my bookshelf,
Yes.
afterwards.
I wanted people to not be embarrassed to carry this on the plane because most of my clients are on planes a lot. And
Yeah.
I wanted them to open this and not look like,
Yeah. No, I
there was
love
a
it.
big cat on the cover or something.
It's beautiful. Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's so
Thank you.
exciting.
I manifested
Um,
it. I
yeah.
actually really did manifest it. For 7 years, I was hoping to get a book deal. I wrote and I wrote and I wrote. I was using so much force. I was trying so hard. And guess what the universe gave me? Zilch, diddly,
Mm.
squat. Then one day I decided, really, why do I want to write a book? I just want to give my clients one book that takes them from A to Z in my program. I really just want to serve. So I'm
Mhm.
going to write something that's really good, a real manual, and I'm going to self publish it if I have to. I let go of everything, all the outcome. This is after having like 5 agents
Mhm.
and this not working. And then my editor, who I hired to help me, not have bad grammar, said, "Hey, Keren, there's a publishing house that would really like to see this because I mentioned it to this girl at the gym. Do you mind if I throw it her way?" No, not a problem. I had a book deal the next day.
Oh, incredible.
That's
Incredible.
manifesting.
That is manifesting. That is a good story. I love stories like that. Such an important reminder and proof that,
Yeah.
yeah, stop forcing it.
Opposite, 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 opposite. Wait, the best one. Some people out there are looking for love. I was too. In fact, I was 40 years old, practically dead. After my divorce, looking for love all over New York City, which, as you know, is known as a hard dating pool.
Mhm.
My my partner appeared as my third date on Tinder. I sat before a really handsome guy who looked like Ryan O'Neal from Love Story, which is a very, very old-timey reference, but whatever.
I know that
And
reference.
oh my God, I loved him so much. And I really liked him. And then for 4 days, I didn't hear from him. Now, usually because I was very hardworking and kind of aggressive, I would have pinged him and gone, "What's going on?" Right? Like, this is where we exert force. We start to really block our own manifestation.
Mhm.
But instead, I decided to do the opposite, which was chill out and leave him alone, see what happens. Who cares, right? He texted me back after 4 days, 4 long days, to say, "I'm sorry it took me so long. You just told me to read a book, so I wanted to finish it before texting you."
Oh, wow.
This is what happens when we start to allow, when we start
Yeah.
to allow ourselves to receive
Hmm.
rather than make things happen. Make things happen is the biggest problem for overachievers. It's the reason we end up in a gilded cage with manifestations we don't even like that much. And I hope that everybody reads it and understands how to really manifest and break free.
Oh, I love this. This is like exactly what I needed today. It's such a gloomy day out. I live in Florida, so I'm not used to, these
Yeah.
gloomy days. I feel so just like I'm gonna go and find my, show that I'm gonna watch and maybe pick up some flowers. And I just feel so good. So thank you for coming on and just
And
sharing
burn
your
the good
energy.
candle, Stephanie.
Burn the
Burn the
good
good
candle.
candle.
Yep, yep. And if someone sends me another one, I'm gonna be reaching out to you like, hey, look what happened. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So where can everyone find you? And your coaching and all that kind of stuff.
I am on at Coach Keren on Instagram, and Keren is spelled Keren. So I like to say, not a Karen. Get it? And KerenEldad.com. And they can find everything about me. And Gilded, of course, just Gilded by Keren Eldad on Amazon or anywhere. It's pretty easy and
Oh,
straightforward.
I
And
am
I will
gonna
be in
order that
Florida soon.
immediately. Oh, nice. Reach out. We should meet up. That would be fun. We could
We
manifest
should.
some cool things together.
Yes, we can.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm gonna get your book ASAP. And I'll link everything in the show notes so it's easy for everyone to find. And yeah, we'll have to do another episode sometime in the future and catch up.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you back here next time.